the message is more important than the production. The message is so much more important than the production. What if I just acted as if the message was the most important thing? I'm officially the pastor of the Fourth Church of the Holy Goldfish. It's a joke that keeps on giving, but it really is about taking responsibility for your own spiritual journey. And I thought, I'll just admit to what it is. It's going to be a raggedy podcast, and I'm not going to probably do production and a whole lot of editing. And so there'll be background noise and technical difficulties. But at the core of what my work is about is how do we connect with our heart and with our passions and do the healing work so that we can live differently in a way that feels loving and life embracing. And that's important to me. And that's something I'm passionate about. Like many things that have started in my life, I decided to do a thing called the Holy Goldfish Commentary. It will be a Raggedy Podcast Production. I hope you'll come along the journey. Who knows where it'll take me?
Sometimes it's slow living that gives me time to really think and appreciate and cherish little experiences deeply. Yesterday was one of those slow days. I was going to meet up with a friend. She and I were going to have lunch. She had picked the place and set the time, and 1 o'clock was my appointment in life. I had time in my day. I got dressed early, determined not to be late for no reason. And part of my going and coming has been trying to include more exercise, more walking into my day. Yesterday was no different. I decided that I'd take the bus to a stop that I knew and was familiar with, and that it was about a 30-minute walk. That's how much exercise I wanted to get in that stretch. And it allowed me to walk to our lunch spot along one of the rivers that runs through town. I thought it would be just an enjoyable, leisurely stroll by the river and all that that has to offer. I didn't know how impactful it would be. I began my walk, and it was about 12:30. I had timed it just right that I'd get to our spot a little bit before 1, just in case there was any hiccup or anything that derailed my journey. Sometimes I wander. I wander because something catches my eye. And so I gave myself a little bit of extra time yesterday. And as I was walking, one of the sights that's actually familiar will be sometimes seeing individuals down in the river, washing clothes or washing off produce. And on this day, that's what I saw. Now, I don't know all the details, so some of it I make up in my mind in a way that I fill in the dots based on what I see and what I think is happening. And what I saw was an older lady. She was rinsing clothes in the river. I saw some of the clothes on the shore on top of a basket that was turned upside down on the grass. And I saw 2 young people. I made the assumption they were her children. They were teenagers, maybe about teenage age, the boy a little bit younger. And they were also standing without shoes in the river. I thought that water's a little cold, but they probably are acclimated to it. And as they were standing there, I was thinking about the intensity of labor with some of the ways that people live here in my community. Hand washing clothes is a lot of energy versus throwing it in the washing machine, which is what I do. But as I thought about that, in an instant, other thoughts filled my mind. I thought, she's got help. The youngsters seemed to be fully engaged with her. They were helping. The young lady, maybe a teenage girl, was with a brush scrubbing some white tennis shoes, and even from across the river, they looked pristine white. The boy was wringing clothes out that had been rinsed. They were working together. And I thought, what a joy that if you've got to do some of those regular things in life, to be doing it together. A mother with her 2 children, all of them pitching in and helping. And I thought, yes, it is labor intensive, but many hands make light the work, and she's spending time working together with possibly her children. And I thought, this is a much slower life, and I'm grateful for it. But I walked a few steps further and I saw someone. In my mind, I made it be a woman, but I couldn't tell. It was one of the street sweepers with the recognizable overalls. And this person, I'll call her she, was laying in the grass also at the bank of this river. She had taken her bright yellow rain slick coat and laid it over the bottom of her body like a blanket. Her backpack was under her head, and at 12:30 in the afternoon, she was taking a nap. I walked a few steps further and I saw 3 heads lined up, 3 men with their feet facing the river, one with a backpack under his head, and each of the other 2 men with rocks that looked like they had been painted in bright colors with smiley faces. All 3 of the men were laying peacefully in the middle of a day taking a nap. I walked just a few steps further and there was a grouping of 2 or 3 men sitting on the grass. One of them was packing up what I know was a hearty lunch. It was the almuerzos, a very typical 2-course lunch. You can tell by the containers because the soup container is usually on top of the entree container in the bag tied securely. He was packing up what looked like the leftovers of his lunch and tying them back in the bag. He had had a hearty lunch, and in that particular area, $2 would have been the approximate price he paid. I walked a few steps further along the path down the river, and I saw another man eating his lunch. He had his speaker and his music going. I walked a few steps further, and there was another solo person laying on the grass, taking a nap. And as I walked, I reflected on a time some years back where I was making the decision on what to call the farm and the restaurant I had purchased. I was a farmer. That was my vocation for the time, but really, I've been a social scientist for so much of my adult life, watching society and working towards solutions on how we make it better, how we heal, how we re-pioneer society and the way we live. And the name I decided on really had a double meaning. I decided to call my place Seeds. Seeds Cafe and Farmers Market. I oftentimes told the story about Seeds, the farm wisdom that I gained a depth of understanding for being a farmer and running a farm and a farm-to-table restaurant, and that is that seeds have everything they need within to achieve their potential. Everything they need to become is within that seed. However, their environment makes a difference on whether they reach closer to their potential. whether they thrive. Seeds will try their best to grow in an environment even if it might not be hospitable to their growth. If there's even a remote chance that they might be able to live, a seed will try and sprout its roots. It'll try to reach its potential, but if the environment isn't right, it won't thrive. If the environment isn't right, it might try to grow and die out way before it bears fruit. And as I was walking, I was thinking about that. I'd walked past these people that were grouped in a very close area to each other. I went on down the path that was less inhabited by people. And I thought about that because I would tell people each one of us is the seed, and the people you come in contact with, life, or the environment. I had a moment of deep gratitude because I am that seed as well. And what I felt so many times was living in a place that didn't feel like thriving. My environment wasn't the right temperature. It wasn't the right season. It wasn't oftentimes the right values that felt comfortable and supportive for me. And then as I was feeling grateful, I realized I was the seed and I changed my environment. 2 years ago, I decided I'll just change my environment and see what life feels like from a different vantage point, a different mindset, and a different place. And I was walking. As I was slow walking down the river, I realized that changing my environment has caused me to feel much more like I'm thriving. Life wasn't bad. Life started out bad in a lot of ways for me, but life got better and better and better. I attribute a lot of that to the healing work. Finding tools for healing that helped me remove the parts of life that were me. Where I was the obstacle, I was the hindrance, I was the traumatizer in my own life. And life has gotten better. My better has gotten better. And as I was walking down the river at a leisurely pace, I realized that my environment also makes the difference. And life feels so much closer to thriving because of that. Farm wisdom is good wisdom. Seeds have everything they need. In life, part of my mission is to plant good seeds. I'm reminded that watering them with healing water is the best. If I'm given the opportunity to place water on the other seeds that come and go from my environment, my aim in life is to water them with healing water, the best that I can offer, and my best is getting better. And that remembering the environment makes a difference. Because what I learned from being a farmer was that seeds will try their best to grow. Yesterday, I remembered I am that seed, and my environment truly has made the difference.